Evening. It is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate y'all being here. This is our Tuesday night show for the college football playoff rankings. Now, at 6 o'clock on ESPN, the College Football Playoff Committee will release its most updated look at the college football playoff bracket. What you see on the current screen is last week, the college football rankings. Now, I would imagine that there is going to be quite a bit of shuffling because Texas A&M, the committee's 3 seed, they lost last Friday against Texas. Okay, so in this particular video, I'm going to ask some questions to you inside the comment box. We're going to go over line by line the college football playoff criteria. And I have some questions for you inside the comment box. And we do have a poll right now, and I would encourage you guys to definitely vote in it. And we've asked, where do you think Alabama will be ranked tonight? Number 9, number 10, number 11? I'm curious to see what you guys say. I mean, 68% right now say number 9. What do you guys have Alabama over, right? That's my question. I mean, how does Alabama move up a spot? I'd like to hear from you inside the comment box. So as this show normally works, how this will operate is I'll post some questions to you. We'll talk some college football playoff rankings. And then when this graphic is updated from ESPN, we will have a fresh, updated college football playoff bracket. Okay? So, and look, the news is heavy and the news is nonstop. So tomorrow, I want to show you our early signing day schedule. So starting tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central Time, right? This is all Central Time because I'm in Tuscaloosa. 8 a.m. Central Time will be our signing day preview. During that preview, I will tell you about the prospects that are expected to sign with Alabama officially signed. Should be around 20, maybe a couple more guys, and maybe some signing day commitments at that point in time. 9 a.m., I'll provide some updates. If you've been with us for the last 10 years on the program, we will have a screen that shows you when the players are officially committed, and they'll have a check mark, right? Those are always fun to keep track of. And then at 10 a.m., we'll have our normal show, which will be right here on Bama Football on YouTube, which will be a call-in show. At 11 a.m., more signing day updates and news as it happens. And then at 12 p.m. will be our signing day wrap. And I would imagine at that point in time that Alabama has all their prospects signed during that morning portion. Now, we can adjust always on the fly, right? There's no rules, and you know how crazy signing day is. So that's kind of the tentative schedule. And then at 4 p.m., Coach Kalen DeBoer will address the media, right? So does that sound good for everybody for tomorrow? So we got a long day, so I need y'all after this video to get some rest, get some food in you, because we have a really big day tomorrow. And I've posted a couple early signing day videos, player highlights, and I know everybody's excited to get Xavier Crowell up in the house tomorrow, Sadarian Morgan, and the rest of the crew signed tomorrow. All right, so here is a look at a graphic that we created in-house, all right? And I have locks and I have some bubble gum, all right? The bubble gum are for the teams that are bubble teams. And what I've done here is I've given some teams that have less of a chance, smaller pieces of bubble gum. Alabama, I feel, is in a great position. And I know there's a lot of people out there that feel that, have anxiety about this weekend. I get it. It's Georgia. This is a good football team, top 4 in the nation. And I have videos, and I've already explained my confidence level in this game going Saturday, okay? And it's really easy. You don't even have to get really dramatic about it. We 100% know what happens if Alabama wins this game on Saturday. You win, and you're in. It's the same exact thing that was last week and the week before and the week before. Every single game that Alabama plays is gigantic, right? You're climbing Mount Everest. Someone said that inside the comment box, and I could not agree more. The schedule that Alabama has had to play has been brutal. The SEC is a gauntlet for all teams, and there's only 2 teams at the end of the day that can play in the SEC title game, all right? And one of them is a current bubble team. Think about that. Think of how crazy what I just said. The number 1 seed, you want me to blow your mind? The number 1 seed in the SEC championship game is a bubble team. How does that even make sense? Okay, so you got BYU. They are also playing in a conference championship game. against Texas Tech. By the way, Texas Tech just signed their head football coach to a 7-year extension, right? And BYU, their head football coach, he was targeted by Penn State, and it looks like he's going to stay out in Provo, Utah. Has anyone ever been to Provo, Utah, inside the Combox? Miami is a team that finished out 10-2, okay? And they are an at-large team. And I'll explain kind of the conference championship rule, because nowhere in the criteria does it say that all Power 4 conference champions have to make it. Okay? It says the highest ranked conference champion, right? So you have a team like Tulane, right? You have a team like James Madison from the Sun Belt. We're watching all these teams this weekend, okay? Let's go over the college football playoff principles. And then, of course, at 6 p.m., when ESPN reveals the rankings, I will show it to you guys. We'll look at it. We'll make some observations, and then we'll dip out. And then I forgot to mention, too, you will get a 4 a.m. Wake Up Bama, right? Who's on the Wake Up Bama podcast crew? I know a bunch of you are. I'm not going to lie. It's a little bit of a grind to crank those out every single night. But you know me, like my whole thing is consistency and performance. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to go all in, I am going 1,000,000% in. But as we kind of look at the college football playoff principles, it gets pretty interesting, okay? I'll go full screen. The 5 highest ranked conference champions. It doesn't say Power 4. It says the highest ranked conference champions. Then the next 7 highest ranked teams. Okay? That makes 12. Strength of schedule. Okay? Head-to-head competition. Comparative outcomes of common opponents. Other relative factors. And this is where it gets really interesting for me, okay? Unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. So 2 examples of this, okay? Now, where it says may have affected the team's performance during the season, that example to me is Texas Tech losing to Arizona State earlier in the season. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Texas Tech, their quarterback, wasn't playing in that game. Am I right? Okay, that makes sense. That's fair, okay? Guy wasn't playing, understandable. But my question for you is to Ole Miss and how they rank Ole Miss going forward and what they do with Ole Miss overall. Because it says, and coaches that may have affected the team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason performance. So inside the comment box, do you feel that Ole Miss, there's a chance that Ole Miss, who's a lock, right, 11-1 season, that they might get penalized or move down a couple spots because what has happened with Lane Kiffin? I'm dead serious. And it kind of reminds me of that situation a couple years ago with Florida State. And let me ask you this. Maybe this is an easier way to ask it. Is Ole Miss the same team, caliber-wise, under Pete Golding as their head football coach compared to that of Lane Kiffin? And I did see that Charlie Weiss will stay at Ole Miss and coach the offense. I don't know. It's something to think about. I'm watching it, and while it plays, I do feel it plays an important role. That team just went through a tremendous amount of drama. And I think Lane Kiffin, for all that, he is a good football coach, and they're a different team without him. I don't know. Okay, my other thing is, like, the principle clearly says, right, head-to-head competition. So please help me inside the comment box understand this. How in the world is Notre Dame above Miami? And look, I am not vouching for Notre Dame. I am not vouching for Miami, okay? And quite frankly, I feel that there's a lot of the teams, this one right here, Vanderbilt, that is better than that of Notre Dame and Miami, if you really want to be, if you want me to be 100% honest. And I feel they're better than BYU too, okay? And I guarantee you, if Vanderbilt and BYU were to play this coming Saturday, the line would be similar to what it is of Texas A&M, Texas Tech, and BYU. If BYU is that good, if they're that good, then how the hell are they a 12.5-point underdog to play Texas Tech? Shouldn't that game be a little bit closer? So how? So help me out. Look, Miami has some ugly losses. Notre Dame has 2 losses. Miami has 2 losses. They end the season at 10-2 apiece. So help me understand it. And it's been this way for a while now. It's not like Notre Dame just, leapfrog Miami. And you know what the thing I was thinking about it is there are like, the last time that Hunter Yurachek spoke, he was like, well, maybe at some point in time we can see these 2 teams on the same playing field. They played. They literally played. And it was Miami that beat Notre Dame. And this is why I'm scared that the committee might do something that impacts Alabama if Alabama loses on Saturday. Let me explain, okay? Alabama versus BYU, okay? Or you could even look at this Alabama versus Miami. There's a couple different scenarios to look at, but let's just start here, okay? If Alabama loses and BYU wins the Big 12 championship game, I 100% think that BYU and Texas Tech will get in, okay? And I think if Bama loses, Bama would be clearly 10-3. BYU would be 12-1. So we are watching this game, and we are rooting for Texas Tech 1,000,000%, okay? Now, the other scenario that I'm scared about, fam, is what happens if Texas Tech wins that game, and we're like, yeah, and Bama lost, and we're like, no. And so Alabama finishes its season 10-3, okay? And Miami, they've already finished their season, and they're at 10-2. They're at 10-2 right there. Well, doesn't the college football principle say comparative outcomes of common opponents? So let me ask you, college football fans, what is the common opponent that Miami and Alabama played this season? Who is it? Who is that team? Let me know. Because I think that going back to that week 1 loss is going to be that impactful. And it seems to me that the committee cannot get that out of their mind. And shouldn't the committee look at the fact of what Alabama has done since that game? Can't you argue that that team, which has won their last 10 out of 11 games, which is 7-1 in SEC play, the toughest conference in all of college football, right? Can't you argue that that football team is a playoff team regardless of the outcome on Saturday? Now, I'm not saying that they don't have to play at a very high level, and I think depending on what happens between Alabama and Georgia, scoring-wise, we're going to look at it. Look, I'll be the first one to say, I promise you, fam, if Georgia beats Alabama 35-10, I'll be with you on the postgame. I'll be like, these guys are done. 10-3, and you got your tail whipped in the SEC championship. I'll say it. I'll be like, this is not a playoff team, okay? By the way, my trivia, why did I use 35-10? Who did Georgia beat 35-10? Sound off inside the comment box. By the way, BYU has made it official, and they are going to keep Kalani Sitake as BYU's head football coach. Why do I bring that up? Well, Penn State was offering him. Penn State can't find a football coach. They've been looking for one since October, okay? Coach Kalen DeBoer on the team's playoff resume following the Iron Bowl. If you're really trying to have a playoff, right, you need the best teams in there. There's no doubt in my mind we are one of the best teams. I don't say that arrogantly. I just believe that's what it is. It would be really, because I've seen Sarkisian. I've heard Clark Lee of Vanderbilt that it would be a disservice if those teams don't make the playoffs. Well, the truth of the matter is Vanderbilt is a playoff team, okay? But the problem is they lost to Texas. And Texas, the problem is they're 9-3 and they didn't make the SEC championship game, okay? The loss to Florida, I think, it was a big separator. Plus, they didn't make the SEC championship game. Bama, on the other hand, they made the SEC championship game. It is so strange, but I think Alabama's losses kind of have a greater impact to people's minds. If Bama loses 1 or 2 times, people are like, this team's not good. They don't understand the level of college football these days. What Alabama did going 7-1 SEC play is so monumental, but we can't understand it because we're so used to that standard of football. It's not like that anymore. LSU thinks that they're going to get Lane Kiffin and just waltz right in to the SEC championship game next year? No. That's not how it works. Not at this level. The College Football Playoff Show has started. Okay, we're going to post the teams as they are ranked, and then as soon as the updated bracket is revealed, we will show that to you on the screen, okay? Capstone Farms, good to see you. Max Tooney, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. The Tube, what's up? I appreciate you. And the Tube is like, Bama's in unless Georgia blows them out. I agree, man. I think they're going to look at that score. And the other thing I forgot to mention about Texas, Texas lost to Georgia by a score of 35-10 in Athens. What team beat Georgia in Athens? I'll sit back. You guys answer. They have 4 wins over top 25 teams. I have to adjust some of these numbers right here. These aren't updated, but they do still have a top 15 defense. The passing offense, I think, is number 18. The running game, if you really want to look at the running game, I would say that the running game even improved against Auburn. It was just unfortunate that Jan Miller got twisted up. And by the way, they're showing the principals. This is a good picture right here to take this picture. Now, clearly the blemishes on Alabama's schedule is the losses to Florida State and Oklahoma, okay? Oklahoma playoff team, a SEC team, a team that is locked to be in the playoffs. And they have 2 losses, okay? One of those losses is to Texas, okay? Now, the playoff rankings have started. We'll post them inside the comment box. James Madison, 25. North Texas, 24. You're going to have a lot of these group of 5 teams, I guess, inside the rankings. Iowa, 23. Georgia Tech, 22. And Houston, 21. Watch that James Madison team, okay? That James Madison team wins this week. That could be a team that literally, think about this. James Madison has an opportunity to be in the playoffs. That's how crazy this system is, right? And look, I don't want to take away from their 11-1 season, but comparatively speaking, where would these guys be in any of the other conferences? And why does a team from one of the group of 5 have to even make the playoffs? Why? Why do we come up with that? If they're legitimately a top 12, then bring them in. Tulane's another team, right? Tulane this weekend is playing North Texas. They're basically setting it up for one of those teams to get into the playoffs if Virginia loses to Duke or both, right? Because Duke is playing Virginia. Hey, good to see everybody inside the comment box. Tulane is at 20. Michigan is at 19. Arizona, 18. 17, Virginia. And 16 is USC. Okay. So we're watching that Tulane team. They win, they're in. Okay. You got Utah at 15. And I guess Tennessee's no longer ranked. Who wins, Tennessee or James Madison? I'm dead serious. I think Tennessee would beat James Madison by 2 touchdowns. Vanderbilt is number 14. '15 is Utah. And Vanderbilt put together their whole resume that they should be a playoff team. I agree, Vanderbilt. That's a dangerous team. And I say this all the time on my shows. If anybody caught Vanderbilt in the playoffs, they would be terrified. Okay? But Vanderbilt is a bubble team, if that. And I didn't even give them a piece of bubble gum because I think they're out. They have Texas above them, and that was the one that popped their bubble. And Clark Lee was talking about how good Vanderbilt is. They're a good football team, and if there was more time on that game, they would have beat Texas, but they didn't. And Texas is not a playoff team. They're 9-3. Okay, so 15 Utah, 14 Vanderbilt, and 13 is Texas. See, I agree, man. I think Tennessee would beat James Madison. I think Tennessee would beat Tulane. I think Tennessee would beat North Texas. And Miami is number 12. And for those of you inside the com box, I saw someone just point out that Texas over Vanderbilt. 9-3, Vanderbilt has a better record. I mean, They looked at the record, but they looked at that head-to-head, right? I think that's what they did there. In Miami, they're talking about their playoff resume right now. 10-2, FPI ranked 7, schedule, strength of schedule, 44. Miami at 12. I'm telling you, this Miami team is going to be a problem if Alabama is not able to close the door. What's up, Link 52? And BYU is at 11 with an 11-1 record. So I would imagine that after this, they kind of update some of the percentages, but it's really easy. So Bama beat Georgia, and they're in. BYU is at 11. BYU is playing Texas Tech this weekend in the Big 12 title game. They already lost to Tech. They are a 12-point underdog in that game. Let's see what happens. The BYU is a scary team to watch. If they win that game, they're definitely inside the playoffs 100%. Okay? We're moving slowly to number 10. Let's see if Bama's at 10. Notre Dame, Alabama. This is huge, fam. Alabama has jumped Notre Dame. Okay? This is gigantic. What just happened here is gigantic. Alabama is ahead of Notre Dame. Wow. Let's go. Okay, thumbs up inside the comment box. That's going to make us sit up straight right here. Man, finally. And I think clearly Alabama being rewarded for making the SEC title game and for winning that late season showdown against Auburn. Playing on the road is hard in the SEC. Alabama is at 9. Alabama at 9. Wow. Good. They did some good. I was ready to get upset about Hunter Yurachek, but Alabama over Notre Dame, they did the right thing. And I think clearly what they did was they looked at the strength of schedule. They looked at the quality of wins from Alabama. They rewarded them for making the SEC title game. They probably penalized Notre Dame a little bit for not being in a conference. I'm not mad at it. That was the right thing to do. Someone's saying committee is protecting itself for BYU if BYU wins. I want to dive into that. Bring that up again when we're done with the looking at the rankings. We're stuck on 9, by the way. And as soon as we have an updated bracket, I'll put this on. These are the old rankings, what you're looking at right now. Number 8 is Oklahoma. Number 7 is A&M. I was curious to see where they put A&M after the loss. So A&M would be 7, and they would still be hosting a game. They would be hosting Notre Dame, and Bama would be going to Oklahoma in this scenario. So this is big. I was curious to see what they do with Ole Miss, right? Let me update this real quick, and we'll start talking. They're still going to update the rankings here in a second. Oregon is the number 5 team. Texas Tech is number 4. And again, we're going to update this graphic as soon as possible. Number 3 is Georgia. Number 2 is Indiana. So pretty much as I thought it would be. And then Ohio State at 1. I guess, you know what? So Bama at number 9. Happy about it. I I guess when you look at this particular game, and we'll get the graphic up here immediately. There's the graphic right here on the screen. Bama in this scenario would be traveling to Norman, Oklahoma to take on the Sooners. 1 second. Updated graphic coming momentarily. How does everybody feel about Alabama being the number 9 seed? Clearly, they did the right thing. And again, we will update this graphic here in just a second. And then you have BYU right after Notre Dame. I like it, right? And again, this will be updated just a second. So clearly, we all know this. If Alabama, and here's the updated bracket, by the way. We'll go through them real quick. I'll read out number 1 through 12. Number 1 is Ohio State. Number 2 is Indiana. And those teams play this weekend in the Big Ten championship game, right? Number 3 is Georgia. They'll be taking on Alabama. Number 4 is Texas Tech. They are taking on BYU in the Big 12 championship. Number 5 is Oregon. We're up top over here. And they will take the next highest conference champ. So that could be Tulane. That could be James Madison. That could be North Texas. That could be Virginia, okay? You have Bama, who jumped to the number 9 spot after beating Auburn, and they would take on Oklahoma. Now, in this scenario, Alabama would travel to Norman to play the Sooners on the road, okay? Now, there's another conference champ situation. We don't know who the highest ranked conference champ's going to be. Again, it could be Virginia, it could be North Texas, it could be Tulane, it could be James Madison, okay? And then down here, you have Notre Dame traveling to take on A&M. Now, I think the first thing that stands out to me about this bracket is the fact that Ole Miss is at 6. They were not penalized at all for all the stuff that happened with Lane Kiffin. So good for the team. Is this team the same team without Lane Kiffin? Well, we don't have any data points. We have no idea, right? So it's like this has never happened before, I guess, from a coaching standpoint. So here we go, right? Looking at this bracket, other things that stand out to me is you would get an opportunity for a rematch against Oklahoma. Now, I feel that the only way that this bracket sticks is if Alabama was to lose against Georgia, right? And maybe in that case, Alabama might get moved down a couple spots. So I would say best case scenario is if Alabama loses, that they're on the road. Seeds 9, 10, 11, or 12. Now, we have to watch that BYU game, right? If BYU is able to win, you got to take 2 teams from the Big 12, right? Notre Dame season, they're done. A&M season, they're done. But I'm telling you this, okay? Now, you're probably wondering, let's look at this other bracket real quick. What happens if Alabama wins, right? You're probably wondering. And let me ask you inside the comment box, if Alabama wins and they beat Georgia, which, by the way, I think they will, where do you think that they would be ranked? Sound off inside the comment box. If Alabama wins this weekend, where would Alabama be ranked? Well, here's how I have it. I have Alabama at the number 2 spot. So I created this earlier this week based on if Alabama wins, okay? And this is how I'd have it. And I just went ahead and filled out the entire bracket. My thought process is this. If Alabama wins, Ohio State, they beat Indiana, right? So they'd actually finished 13-0. So that should be 13-0 on this particular graphic up top. Some people have the number 1. And then I put number 2 Bama, who would finish with an 11-2 record. Then I go with Indiana, and then I go with Tech if they're able to beat BYU. I put Georgia at 5. I'm not penalizing that much. Their only 2 losses would be to Alabama, right? In this case, it wouldn't be, such a bad thing to lose to the Tide twice. I put Oregon there at 6. Their season's completed. I put Ole Miss at 7. Season completed. A&M, season completed at 8. Oklahoma, moved them to 9. Notre Dame, 10 and 2. I guess I'm keeping Notre Dame over Miami. I mean, I'm kind of following what the criteria is doing. And then I roll with 11, Virginia winning the ACC. And then number 12, oh, that's what I did. So if Virginia wins the ACC, then Miami's just out because they can't take 2 teams from the ACC, right? I mean, I guess maybe they could if they took Miami over Notre Dame, but they haven't ranked Miami over Notre Dame since. And then I take Tulane if Tulane is able to beat North Texas. So if Bama wins, I got them at the number 2 spot. What stands out when looking at this bracket right here? I'll give you time to look at it if you want a screenshot or whatever. Does anything stand out? Wolfgar inside the comment box says you can't jump Miami over Notre Dame anymore with no new data points. I like that. Yeah. I've kind of always wondered, I'm like, doesn't the head-to-head affect it? But it hasn't in the last couple of weeks. What are they going to do all of a sudden just decide that it matters? No, I like that. That's a fair point, actually. Ryan Harris points out Texas A&M and Notre Dame rematch. Ooh, I like that too. Yeah, that stands out. That was a 1-point game. That game came down to Tyler Buckner, right? Camille points out a lot of SEC teams, yeah. And there should probably honestly be more SEC teams. There should at least be one more, which is Vanderbilt. What's broken about this model is they're not taking the true top 12, right? Let's face it. I mean, if they were really taking the true top 12, let's say you just had to take, I'm trying to figure this out because they're trying to make all the conferences happy. That's just never going to happen. And that's why I think they're kind of warming us up to like a 16-team format. Because, who's going to be – let me ask you this. Who's going to be this year's team to sue the playoff committee? Who's going to be the team that sues the committee? Maybe that should be our poll. Can we put that as our poll? Let's add Miami. Let's add Vanderbilt. And let's add Texas. So, okay, let's get a new poll. Who's most likely to sue the committee this year? Miami, Vanderbilt, or Texas? Shoot, all 3 of them probably could, right? That would be one hell of a, right? Because wasn't it Florida State who got the attorney general? Do you remember this? Cody says it's going to be Notre Dame. Alyssa says it's going to be Miami. I could see Miami, Vandy, or Texas suing the committee. Lance is like, Texas ain't got nothing. All right. So that's our bracket for right now. Okay. So I want to tell you, okay, so now we got a poll going up. Vote in this poll as fast as you can. And so far it's been Miami, but here comes Vanderbilt on the outside. I think if I had to make a final answer, I'm going to go Vanderbilt. I saw Vanderbilt put out like a really nice PDF. It was super organized. It looked like the top student in class. You know what I'm saying? Trying to get like an A. Have you seen this? It's on social media. So far, 48% believe Miami will be the most likely to sue the committee. Every single year, it's going to be the same thing. Someone's going to sue them. All right. So look, heads up. The schedule for tomorrow is like this. Early signing day. Yeah, if you thought there wasn't enough coverage, well, we got blanket coverage. The news never stops, okay? It just doesn't. That's just the world we live in. 8 a.m. signing day preview. 9 a.m. signing day updates. 10 a.m. my normal live show. How is this going to work? Are you going to have to keep, new streams? No. This is going to be one simultaneous stream. It's never going to stop, okay? Well, it'll stop at some point. But you'll just keep coming back to the same video. That way you don't have to go all the way around. So I'll pop in. We'll take a break. I'll have a graphic on the screen that shows you the players that are signed. And then we'll come back on the top of the hour at 12, hopefully wrap it up by that point. And then at 4 p.m., Coach Kalen DeBoer, okay? I'll update all this information for our next show, okay? There was a couple other things that I think I wanted to show you. Okay, this is Kalen DeBoer. Here's the weather report for this weekend. Oh, yeah, because somebody asked about this. I know, Capstone's like signing day. I know, crazy, right? How about this? You guys see this? Couple of things to talk about before we bounce out. Alabama's 2026 schedule, it's been changed to really fit more of what the College Football Committee wants. And this is straight up beatdowns. They don't want you playing. Like quality competition doesn't matter. So your out of conference games should be light work, okay? And here's Hunter Yurachek. I can't wait to see what he says. Maybe we'll wait just for a minute while I read this out, and then we'll post a quote on Hunter Yurachek, okay? But basically, Alabama's schedule, real quick, they announced adjustments to its future football schedules Tuesday morning. The Crimson Tide in South Florida mutually agreed to move their previously scheduled from 2026 to 2032? Are you kidding me? Are we going to still be playing football by 2032? That it's going to be like cyber ball by then, right? Alabama will replace South Florida with Chattanooga, okay? As was previously announced, adding a game against East Carolina for the 2026 campaign, okay? Additionally, the Tide will host Marshall for 2027. So that's kind of, that was something that popped up on our schedule today. A couple other notes while we wait for Hunter Yurachek here. I want to see if there's a soundbite that we need to hit on. Here's the schedule. The bracket, rather. There's a couple things. This whole Ryan Williams deal, okay? I saw it too. He's not transferring. He hasn't signed with LSU. I get it. Anything with Ryan Williams flies. People are really good at generating fake news. It was 274 Sports, not 24/7 Sports. Did you guys all see this? It was so stupid, right? So they came up. It was a fake article. They came up that Ryan had signed with. I hate even talking about it, but even my dad called me and was like, "Man, did Ryan really sign with LSU?" So I'm like, "Oh man, I got to say something about it." This is Hunter Yurachek though. Up on the screen. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we got a quote. And this is the quote right here from Hunter, our boy. And he says, how do we feel about Hunter Yurachek? The debate between Alabama and Notre Dame has been one of the strongest in the past 2 years. Alabama went on the road and had a strong win in a rivalry game. That was enough to change the mind of a couple committee members. Ooh, I like that. I agree. Go on the road. Yo, and I like this. And I do value that they're seen on the road and they're valuing that, okay? Because there's a big difference between, and I'll tell you what, that Auburn football team is good. They're a couple catches away. I don't know. That's the best. What's their record now? 4-6? 7? That's a good football team. I think, am I crazy? Would Auburn beat Tulane? Would Auburn beat James Madison? Would Auburn beat North Texas? Man. So, yeah, okay. That was enough to get Alabama ahead of Notre Dame, which they should have been in the first place. Now, we'll talk about different scenarios moving forward, win, lose, or draw. It's really easy. If Alabama wins, they are in, okay? And they're 100% in, and they're a top 4 seed. If they lose, we'll see what happens, right? Because I think what they're going to be compared against is the other bubble teams, which are Notre Dame and Miami, okay? And here's another quote from Hunter Yurachek. Idle teams can move following the conference championship games, meaning Miami and Notre Dame can move up or down on teams not playing conference championships. Interesting. See, and this is one of those rules that they're making up as they go. You know what I'm saying? This is where you're playing with that person on Monopoly, and they're like, yo, I've decided after you've gone around 3 times, you can't collect $200 anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Let me read this again. Idle teams can move following conference championship games, meaning Miami or Notre Dame can move up or down on teams not playing in the championship. I don't know. Winning. Just win. Just win, baby, right? Okay, fam. So one more time, early National Signing Day tomorrow. We'll get you covered starting at 8 a.m. Central Time. Normal show, it'll just be one long stream, okay? We're still going to have our call-in show. Just come back to the website, the YouTube channel all day tomorrow, okay? I'll take care of you guys, I promise you, okay? You guys like the delivery? Yeah? You guys feeling good? Yo, the recruiting class should be legit. Yo, check out some of these graphics that I have. If you haven't been able to check this out, I did all this today. Look at the quarterbacks that you got coming in, right? Jet Tamala, yo, dude threw for 61 touchdowns this past year. And you know you love your running back coming in, right? Xavier Crowell, this dude racked up 62 100 yards, okay? I don't know if you guys saw it, man, but have you guys seen this guy's highlight tape? I have a video out there that shows it, man, nasty, okay? The receivers, straight work. Cedarian Morgan, Max Sutter, he's a tight end, looped him in. Kind of a preview of what's come tomorrow, all right? So I appreciate you guys. I put my heart and soul into every single show. I got to close out. I got to have some food. I got to get Wake Up Bama ready to go and everything organized for tomorrow. And most importantly, I got to get some sleep because tomorrow we're going to knock out the park, okay? I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for kicking it with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I sincerely appreciate you guys checking in. If you have questions about the college football playoff rankings, get inside the comment box, post them. We'll, tomorrow will be more signing day, but of course we'll talk playoffs. We'll do it all, man, okay? So have a beautiful night. Enjoy yourself. And most importantly, what's my biggest thing this week for everybody? I've been saying it. It's dad wisdom, okay? The biggest thing is we're getting quality sleep this week. That's our priority, quality sleep, all right? See you guys tomorrow, 8 a.m. Central Time, or as major news happens, I'll be back right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Good night, fam. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream, and catch you soon. See ya.